Here we are back. This is Sarah Zero, and this is the Illustrator tutorial. This is part 2. We have set up our document with our template in place on a locked layer. We've created a new layer, we've created our boxes, and the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is create these arrows using our pen tool. Whenever I use my pen tool, especially when I'm tracing something, I like to zoom in. So I'm going to use my zoom in shortcut, which is Apple plus, Apple plus, Apple plus. And as I showed you in the last video, to drag your canvas into place, you click the space, hold down the space bar, and that hand will show up, and you drag what you want to be in the center of your screen there. I'm going to go ahead and select my pen tool. You can hold down and make sure you're selecting the pen tool. And I'm going to show you right now how to start tracing an object like an arrow with straight edges. We're going to be as close as we can, trace it as closely as we can to the template. I have my pen tool selected, and I am going to click down once to create an anchor point. I'm not holding down, I'm not doing anything else right now, but then I'm going to hover over the next spot where I want my next anchor, the next point, and I'm going to click down and release. And I'm just going to keep doing that, click and release. Click, click, click. We don't need to hold down as we're clicking these new spots to make new anchor points because we don't have any rounded edges in this tutorial. That will be saved for another tutorial. Now when I get to the end here, notice when I want to close my path, that's what I'm creating here as a path. When I hover right here, there's no circle, but when I hover over, right over the original anchor point, that little circle shows up just to the right of my pen tool icon. I'm going to make sure that I click right on there because now I have a closed shape. Now I'm free to start making a new path. I am going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to click here, and oops, I clicked way off. So one option I have is I can go to File, Undo, and then I can continue. Then what I need to do is continue, right like I was. Now if I click twice and I'm way off, you can go again and hit Undo, Undo. Another option would be to keep going. So say I accidentally am off point, and I'm going to just continue on. Like this. Oops, I added an extra point in there, but I'll finish up here. I'll show you how to fix that now. You'll want to go to your direct selection tool. That's the white arrow. Hover over the dot where you made a mistake and select that anchor point. You can tell it's selected because it's a filled in dot, whereas the rest of the anchor points on this path are white. Okay, so I've clicked on that. Now I'm going to click and hold down, and I'm going to drag it into place. Great. But what about this one where I don't have a place that I want to drag it to? I just have an extra one. You could put it in there, but what's going to happen is you're probably not going to make it perfectly aligned with the rest of your line, and you're going to end up with an indentation. So what you want to do instead is go back up to your pen tool, hold down on pen tool, and you want to delete an anchor point from your path. So I'm selecting delete anchor point. I'm going to hover over it and click down, and it disappeared. Okay, I'm clicking my selection tool so that I can check and see how things are looking. I'm pretty close to pretty accurate. You might want to zoom in further so that you're even closer. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is go back to my pen tool, but you can see the little minus is still there from our mistake before. So I'm going to hover back over it, select pen tool, and keep on tracing. Click, 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 and close my path. Great, and I'm ready for the next one. Click, click, click. Oops, a little off on that one. I would encourage you to zoom in further and take your time on this. See, I'm a little bit off there. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to keep on going, but I'd like you to do it as closely as you possibly can. Great, I have my 4 arrows. Now these look like they're exactly the same, and here's a hint, they are. So if you don't need any more practice, I would recommend going back to click your selection tool, select all the arrows you just made. Oops, I've also selected my box, so I don't want to select my box. So I'm going to unselect that by holding my shift key down and clicking on that again so that I've just selected my arrows here. I want those to be filled in so that they look like the blue ones. So I'm going to undo the stroke, click on my fill box here and select, oops, black. So they're filled in black. Great. Now what I can do is select those again, deselect my outer box. I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to paste them. I'm going to drag these over to about where I think they need to be, and I'm going to find my reflect tool, which is hiding here behind my rotate tool. So I clicked on that, held down, and I found my reflect tool. I want these to reflect exactly straight, so I'm holding down my shift button, my shift key, and I'm clicking and I'm dragging these to the left so that they flipped. Now I have a mirrored image. There are a couple different ways you can do that. If you have another way of doing it, great. I am showing the simplest way that I know for beginners who are not familiar with Illustrator. We've completed our first box. That's the end of the second video. I'll return with the third video where I show you how to use paths and path manipulation.